One of the biggest issues that I see in the manifesting community is the whole concept surrounding like ignoring your 3D versus not ignoring your 3D. And I might tell you something that might be an unpopular opinion, but I know that there are a lot of coaches out there, a lot of people out there will tell you don't have to ignore the 3D. But if you are someone who is anxious by nature, who's an overthinker by nature, someone who always is looking for like real life proof or needs logic, which, hi, I know what that feels like. You need to actually ignore the 3D fully. Like there's no way around it for you unless you either regulate your nervous system, which also is a lot easier if you ignore the 3D, or you are at the point where you can literally flip every single little thing that you see, which is really, really unrealistic, because then you would also have to hold the assumption that if you had your manifestation already, you would still be checking, which chances are you probably wouldn't. Because the biggest issue that you are basically putting your subconscious in front of is the fact that you might be doing the work and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, but let me just check. Like, I just got to see. But every time you do that, you're giving your brain like an adrenaline / dopamine hit. And what it tells your subconscious is, hey, the old story is actually giving us something we want that is positive. So it must be the one that's more dominant and it must be the one that we should be sticking to. Like, screw whatever work you did prior. It's not that the work you did is completely gone, but you're basically living in two minds. And the thing is, the way that your subconscious works, it's living the story of your predominant state. Like, you can basically do whatever you want. I'm sure you've seen this before where you've witnessed people who like maybe lied their way into things, cheated their way into things, manipulated their way into things, and it always looked like they were winning from the outside. But guess what? Your self-concept or whatever assumption you hold deep down, and I'm not trying to call anybody out here, but if you are at least like a little bit chronically online, there's a very, very famous example of that, of someone who had a lot of favor and then it just turned and now everybody's like against this lady Duchess. Like oh my God, your self-concept and your predominant belief will always, always override anything you do in the 3D reality and anything you are trying to change if you are not making sure that your mental diet is on par. Because the problem is, and this is especially prevalent if you're someone who is anxious and an overthinker, you checking the 3D is basically like you trying to beat an addiction. It is literally an addiction where you're getting a hit every time you do it. And it's you trying to beat that by installing new assumptions. But that's like you trying to, let's say you want to stop eating sugar, right? But every time you walk past the bakery, you go in and you're like, let me at least just smell it. How long do you think it's